Hello, Meg Miller, an Adult Services Librarian here at Pflugerville Public Library, bringing you another Crafty at Home Cafe. This is definitely a craft that I've been excited to try for a while. I'm doing some painting with string and acrylic that has a paint pouring medium in it. So as always, we've got our material supply kits for those first 40 people who registered. If you are seeing this later or want to try the craft, these are hopefully some things you might be able to get your hands on and give this fun thing a try. So our material supply kits are going to come in the bags again this week. The first thing you'll notice is this lovely foil wrapped package. It is a piece of aluminum foil to help us paint on rather than in a pan. And in it, you're going to have 2 canvas panels that we'll be able to put our paintings on. Additionally, because this is going to be kind of a messy craft, you're going to want to make sure that you either have an apron or an old t-shirt, something that you don't mind if it might get a little bit of paint on it. We are also providing a pair of gloves that you can use to protect your hands from the paint. There is a little cup if you decide to do a little bit more of a traditional pouring technique, mixing your paints together. In the bag, you are going to get 5 just cotton yarn strands that I've cut. And you're going to get 2 pieces of ball chain, one with a little bit bigger and one that's a little bit smaller to get some different techniques. And then of course we have the paint itself. So you may recognize the colors of paint from a previous craft that we did. Additionally, since we're doing something that's a little bit more of a floral perhaps, I've added an additional color. So you get your green and orange, you do get a purple and pink, and then in 3 smaller cups, you get what are probably going to ultimately be our base colors. We've got a black, a white, and a little bit of gold for something kind of shiny. So let's get all our supplies laid out, grab a drink, and let's get crafty. All right, so we've got all of our supplies out here. I'm going to go ahead and remove the plastic from the canvas panel. I've got I've got the aluminum foil laid out here, but you can see I also have the table protected because I do expect this is going to be a little bit messy. Got my canvas panel there. For this one, it's going to be the technique that's going to make it look a little bit more like a floral design. So I'm going to need the one side of my aluminum foil to lay out my paints on. And I've got my strings that I'll use in the paint and the gloves on because I'm actually going to end up touching the paint. And one of the things I might not have mentioned is we are including a plastic spoon. This is kind of taking the place of a palette knife, something that we'll use to spread our bottom layer of paint around on the canvas panel. And for this one, if you saw the image of the example, I used a black background, but I think this time I'm going to use some of my white, and I'm just going to pour right onto the canvas panel here, and then I am going to spread using the spoon, trying to get a fairly even coat all the way across the panel to the edges. And it's not going to be perfect, and that's totally fine. We are going to be laying paint over this. And you could really do any color as your background. If I had blue, maybe I'd want to do blue. Looks like I've got a little paint skin there. Let's just kind of beat around. Move over there. Alright, I think I've pretty much got a fairly even layer all the way across. Maybe a little bit more up here in the corner. There we go. All right. And I have seen tutorials where this is done a number of different ways. For this project, I've decided to do where we'll create our layers of paint here, and then we'll add our strings and then drop them on. You can lay your strings and then put paint on them. We're going to try that when we use the ball chain for one of our paints. Alright, so because I know it is floral in nature, I'm definitely going to use some of this green. Just a little bit right across. I've already gotten some on my finger. There we go, that's a little bit better lighting. Alright, so we've got our green laid down. I am definitely a purple fan, so I'm going to go with some purple next. Definitely not using the whole cup. I'll use that some on the next. Actually, I think I'm going to throw gold in next. A little bit of gold. Some pink. Right. Let me throw a little line of white up here. I got a little bit left. There we go. Definitely making sure that I am using the lids to put back on. And actually, I think I'm going to top it off with some orange. Let's get all the colors in here. Okay. So I've got my paints. You can see I've already got some on my glove. Just have a paper towel or an old towel around to kind of clean that up. Grabbing one of my strings here. Depending on which end I know I want to be the end, I want to make sure I've got a little bit left. So I'm just going to lay my string right down into the paint here. All the way around. And if it doesn't go all the way up, that works. So I can either use the tail end of my spoon to just kind of tap those down into the paint. Making sure I'm going to wipe off that purple before I go to the next color. Just making sure that that yarn is all the way under the paint. And getting that paint on it. Pink here. And just like you can see, I'm just gently tapping that string to get itself right underneath the paint. Let's go green next. I think I just about got it. Just the gold left. Alright, so all of my string is underneath that paint there. And I've got my little tail left right out here. So I am going to slowly lift out of the paint. Alright, and now I've got my string with paint on it. I'm going to go ahead and start in the center. And I don't really want it to lay in a straight line. I need some back and forth here until I get all the way down to the end. And we can actually continue this with, oh, that paint's starting to look cool. So let's see, I'm going to start this one up in the orange this time. Bring it down. Let's bring it back up before the green. And back down. There, into the green. Actually, put you a little closer. Oop, oop, oop. There we go. All right, same process. Okay, so I've got my 3 strings laid down here, and so I'm ready to pull. And I'm not going to move, I'm gonna pull in a straight towards me fashion. Recognizing that my aluminum foil ends, so while I do want to stay fairly level, I am going to get something of that paint coming towards me. You may also decide to use your cup to put those strings in once you've pulled them off, or if you've got a trash can handy or something else, you can put that string on. All right, so I'm just going to pull straight towards me, not making any adjustments for the string being farther away. Oh yeah, moving all the way to me. And I think I'm just gonna leave this little guy here. Right, let's do this one. That's a little bit farther up. So on this one, I hit paint all the way through. This one here, I've got a longer tail, so we'll see how that looks as I pull it, where I've got a very wide base here. I have a feeling on this one, I'll get a bit of a slenderer base. Oh yeah, came up a little there at the end. Oh, but that looks awesome. Just spinning up my... So this guy here, again, we're just gonna pull him towards us. All right, so let's try this other technique. This is kind of a long craft video, so hopefully you stuck with us or forwarded yourself to this second one. We've got another panel here and hopefully have some paint left. So we're gonna do something that's a little bit more of a, maybe looking like a gem or a stone or marble of some kind, something a little bit more abstract than our florals. I've got just a smidge of white left, and I'm actually gonna do that right down the center of this panel. Just clean that straight out. I'm not gonna use my spoon edge this time, so I'm gonna use this. Alright, just gonna smooth from edge to edge. Here. Alright, and then the other color I'm going to use as the base is the black. So this I'm going to go on the left, along the right. I picked up my cup just a little bit better. I'm getting a little bit of drops there in the middle. Side, and I'll spread it out. I should have cleaned my spoon a little better. I've got some white down here, and because these are acrylics mixed with pouring medium, it is not going to just mix together. It's going to really be those separate colors. But once we do our technique, that'll all blend in with the other colors that we're adding. I'll get my black all the way to the corner. With the black, you can definitely see the areas of the canvas that don't have a good coat on them. It's a little harder. It was a little harder to see with the white paint. All right, here. Get close to the white. Let's see if I can get it all the way to this corner. And a little bit of black left. Let me just pour some out there in that little corner. There we go. Chopped off the edge, but that's alright. I want it to go all the way to the corner. Alright.
Looks like you're right there. My nose isn't so close. Here, definitely right there. All right, so I've got my base coat on there. Got 2 of my colors used up. Set those aside. All right, since I used 3 strings in my first, I've got the last 2 strings, I did go ahead and cut them in half. So I'm just gonna lay one little guy right here at the edge, leaving a tail that I can pull off. And this one, the tail needs to be longer on the opposite side. So I've got my first 2 strings, long tail on one side there, long tail on the other side here. And this is where my colors come in. And as I said, this is where I'm going to need to be a little bit more gentle with my pours. I don't want to over pour onto the canvas. And gold. So I'm going to pour just a smidge of gold right along the middle there. Do this pink next. Orange on the other side. Tilting slowly, and you're seeing that I'm still getting kind of a big pour there. Purple. The purple on this side over here. And then I have a little bonus color. This is from some pours that we did years ago, and I am pleasantly impressed that the paint is still pourable. It did kind of splurt out. All right, but again, I'm wearing an apron over my clothes. I've got gloves on. So now I'm going to take my longer tail, and this time rather than pulling straight, I am going to move kind of in a pulling motion like this. So I'm going to pull all of this down. There. Set him aside. This guy I'm going to come from the other direction. And I'm going to pull it all down, and I'm definitely making a big pile of paint, but that's okay. And let's see, I think for the second pull, I'm not even going to add any paint. I pulled down this way on this side. So for my second pull, I'm going to pull towards me this way. So I want to make sure that when I lay, and this time I'm going to try with the ball chain, I'm going to pull it back down towards me like this. And see, we can get with the ball chain, we're getting more of a line. So I use that side. Again, this side pulled towards me. So this next one, I want to pull it the other direction. Make sure I'm in paint there. And I'm just going to pull all this right back down to the other side. And that's with the thinner. Let me just picked up. I'll show you kind of some of how the lines are starting to be there and pull. So let's see what the larger ball chain does. Here it is. So I pulled this way, so now I'm going to want to pull the opposite direction. I'm going to bring him in here. And I'm just going to pull that color down this way, making a much bigger pull this time around. Alright, let's flip. I pulled that way, so this time I want to pull towards me. I'm going to bring him in the paint here. And really pull it across. Oh yeah, the bigger ball chain definitely gives you a little bit more of almost that butterfly effect. And I can go ahead and clean off the ball chain, rinse it off. Let's see how it does with just wiping. We could do a technique similar to our first go round, where I'm going to lay this ball chain out first, and I'm going to put the paint directly onto the chain. Let's see. This copper, I really like the copper. Purple and orange. And I've still got a lot of pour of paint left. So again, I'm going to try and pick this up pretty straight up. Let's see, I pulled this way the last time on this side, so I want to pull the opposite direction. This way. I'm going to lay this down right here. And I'm going to pull back towards the opposite direction. Get some color in there. Again, you can just pull this off. I think I'd like to do a pull through this white and see what I get here. And I was pulling down here. And now this time I didn't put any paint on at all. I'm just pulling through this middle piece. Back down here. As you can see, this is definitely more abstract, and I really like that I did that because now I've got some white here in this corner. Let's see if I can figure this one out. Oh, I need to go down this way. Back around. And there we go. And now we've got something that's definitely a little bit more of a marble technique, a little bit more abstract. Pull one more. Right through this kind of bigger chunk right here. With our smaller. There's a spin there. We hope you have enjoyed this craft. As always, we would love to see what you've made. Once you've made something with your supplies, share it on your own social media and tag the library. Share it on the comments of the video when we post it. I'm just getting all the colors together. This is where it starts to get fun. You get a little messy crafting. Get some pink and purple down here. There we are. Brighten it up a little bit in that corner. Thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to seeing what you made.